Our religious leaders from around the world have issued a joint appeal for international politicians to agree to a new global deal to combat climate change. Christian, Buddhist, Muslim and Jewish leaders were among those attending the gathering at the Vatican hosted by the Pope. For their part, the faith leaders made a commitment to educating and influencing their followers about climate change. The BBC's Mark Lowen is in Rome.
They came from across the planet, faith leaders urging politicians to save it. Christian and Jewish, Buddhist and Muslim, Taoist and Confucian, signing a joint appeal to world leaders who'll meet at the COP26 in Glasgow to commit to net zero emissions, to limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees, to support poorer countries. A pope who has focused on environmental concern and an archbishop with this warning.
Our abuse, our war against the climate affects the poorest among us. Reconciliation with creation, in obedience to our Creator, proclaims the love of God. The world has just enough time to get this right.
In return, the signatories say they'll educate their faithful, spreading the message of climate awareness. The document was handed to Alok Sharma, the COP president, to take to next month's summit, telling us the faith leaders are an essential resource.
The message from them has been very clear. This is a critical moment for the world, and the message was one of the head and the heart. The scientists telling us the message from the head is very clear, is that it is humanity that is creating climate change and we need to act now. And the message of the heart is about morality.
The call is urgent. Man-made climate change and fossil fuels have prompted the warmest decade on record, with floods, fires and heat waves. This may be the last chance to halt the damage.
Religion and science don't always go hand in hand. Climate change deniers are sometimes fueled by religious conservatives. But with research finding 84% of people around the globe identify with a faith, world leaders know that those meeting here today have a chance of getting their followers to change their behaviour. Mark Lowen, BBC News at the Vatican.
Well, at the British Embassy in the Holy See in Rome is the Reverend Graham Usher, Anglican Bishop of Norwich. Bishop Graham began life as an ecologist and was appointed lead bishop on the environment by the Archbishop of Canterbury earlier this year. Thank you very much, Reverend, for joining us here on the programme. Just tell us a little bit more about the significance of this event.
Well, it was a hugely historical event, probably unique in gathering together leaders of world faith communities, probably representing together about 80% of the world's population, all in one room in the Vatican this morning. So the Pope, the Ecumenical Patriarch, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and then leaders of all the major faith communities across the world, with a very common message that we need to work together as a world community to combat climate change, to change the way we live and operate, and draw from the wisdom of our religious traditions to live more simpler lives on this single island planet home of ours.
Well, the one thing that Catholic leaders and the Catholic Church have done is they've committed to disinvesting in oil companies, so oil, gas and coal, to get their money, frankly, out of it. Isn't that what the Church of England should now be doing as well?
Well, many Church of England dioceses are choosing to divest. The Church Commissioners and the Church of England Pension Fund believe in conversion. They're actively engaged with pension funds and other investors throughout the world to bring change to the way in which oil and gas companies operate, to bring them in line with the Paris Agreement at COP21. So we're actively engaged in that process, seeing some results along the way. And if by 2023 those companies aren't in line with the Paris Agreement, then we'll be divesting from them.
So you aren't doing what the Catholic Church has pledged to do, and that is to disinvest in oil companies?
What we're doing is really committing ourselves to live greener and simpler lives, to through all of our church networks and communities, to look to be eco-churches and to reduce the carbon footprint of all of our churches. So we're actively engaged in this whole process and actively engaged.
So you're talking about more of a dialogue with the oil companies to bring them into line. Are they doing that at present?
Yes, we are seeing some results there. And as I said, if we don't see that by 2023, then they will be divested from. Indeed, already some oil and gas companies have been divested from by the Church Commissioners and the Church of England Pension Fund because they are not reaching the transition pathway goals and aims that we have set. But we're holding these companies.
Are you confident that that's likely to happen? I mean, we are up against, a race against time. Every report that we see, everything that we see, is that these companies, continue to burn coal, for example, and that we should be moving away from that. So, do you think that dialogue, we've run out of time when it comes to dialogue?
No, dialogue is working, and we believe in conversion. We believe in changing the way of the world to align it to the values of the kingdom of God. Certainly, we still will need gas and oil going forward. Take out gas and oil now, and you totally disenfranchise the global south because they don't have access to electric vehicles, etc. You wouldn't be able to do the vaccination program that we have at the moment because of plastic use in syringes. So oil and gas is still with us for some time, but what we are aiming to do is to change the culture.
Do you support the International Energy Authority statements that stated that the 1.5 degree scenario, if it's to be achieved, no new investment is needed anywhere in coal, in oil and gas?
Well, I think we want to move to that position by 2023. But what I'm really delighted about today is the fact that the world faith communities have come together under the umbrella of Pope Francis and the UK Embassy to the Holy See to really pledge a commitment and to launch this appeal to the world's leaders, given to Alok Sharma this morning in this unique event at the Vatican, really to encourage the world to come together at this Kairos time at COP26 in Glasgow in just a few weeks' time to make the changes that need to happen, to provide the investment into green economies, which is certainly something that we're doing as to our church investments at the moment, but also to look at funding for loss and damage, to look at ways in which we can support the world's poorest people who are already affected by the effects of climate change.
Reverend Graham, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on the programme.